Hey, welcome back to the episode of Geek Centurions. It's me, boy, life.
Me, Joe.
And for those of you who haven't heard, we are officially part of Palooza's 2025 podcast program. We're back again to talk about some new stuff. Clearly, if you saw last week's episode, last episode really,
Yeah.
we're doing a top 10 list and we're doing it live. And that'll be fun. I got some ideas to go along with it, but we'll see how things turn out. But right now, keeping on the roll of comics, especially going into Palooza. Um, there's been recent announcements, some stuff that I would like to get to, but honestly, I feel like this one makes a lot more sense, specifically since we're on comic book team. Uh, and you've heard of this too. It's the recent announcement of the the collaboration no one thought would happen again. The Marvel DC crossover comics.
Yeah, because the last time I remember, this was like early 2000s, right? Or is it late 90s? I forget.
So the okay, so if we're being specific, there's been a bunch of like crossovers before. This is before they became really as big as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Slash being owned by corporations like Warner Brothers and Disney.
Yeah.
So this is back when they were like, at least like to give you an idea, they were like neighbors or something like just that kind of like thing,
Right.
right? So neighbors that would do cook-offs together. That's kind of the vibe I would probably say for the past because they've had crossovers with each other with like say Superman, Spider-Man, which makes sense because those are two big name ones. Batman, Captain America, and then at some point they kind of end up doing some more uh, interesting ones. They had like a Marvel versus DC where like they would have like I think there was like an explanation for it, but I don't recall. Uh, where in that one, they really had like the actual like the characters fighting each other. So they had like Hulk versus Superman, Spider-Man versus Robin. It's that kind of stuff, and
Right.
some of it was
Yeah.
fan voted,
I do, because I also
like
remember.
proto best death battle, if you would.
Yeah, because I also remember there was the amalgamation, right?
Yeah, and that came either from the result of it or yeah, I think that was a result from it, where the Amalgam Comics was a thing where they sort of combined characters, and some of them were really weird combinations, but some of them were pretty cool.
The one I remember off the top of my head was I think Batman and Wolverine.
Dark Claw, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was an interesting
Mhm.
one.
And then they had the JLA Avengers
That's the
comic,
one I remember because that one I believe has the panel where Superman is has Thor's hammer and Captain America's
which
shield.
is such a cool scene.
It's a pretty
It's really cool.
yeah.
And like we might talk a bit about that one too, because that one I always thought to be very interesting. So that was kind of like that was like the last one. They re-released that book and some of the crossover books recently too, especially the JLA one because of at that time George Perez, who was the artist for that book, had passed away. He's a very influential artist within the comic book sphere. He was very much proud of Wonder Woman. He did a lot of stuff with Wonder Woman, which honestly I'm surprised they haven't even re-released those books too. Now that I think about it,
Mm.
I I can't say so much. But yeah, no. So there's a lot of reasoning as to why stuff is happening again. Like they're having good repertoire. A lot of the writers are jumping back and forth from them. Chip Zdarsky's one that I can think of immediately. Dan Slott, who basically penned a lot of Spider-Man for a good decade, and also the one who's basically started the whole Spider-Verse thing,
Right.
is doing a Superman book. I didn't read it, but I did see a page, and I'm like, he's got it. This man knows Superman. Just Superman being like, hey, like some kid was like, playing music in the streets, like, oh, just practicing, and he's like, hey, that was pretty good. I've been listening to you the whole time while I was saving her today. Keep at it, kid. Give him a dollar tip. It's like,
Hmm.
I can't wait to hear the rest. And I'm like, that's such a Superman thing to do.
Yeah. But no, yeah, because I believe from what I saw, they're announcing a Batman and Deadpool crossover,
Which
right?
is like the thing that I want to talk about because one, cool. We're finally getting the crossovers
and
back.
it's both sides are doing their own version of it, right?
Yes, exactly. And like I said, like it's cool. We're finally doing crossovers. Um, certain writers are writing from DC are writing this. Some writers from Marvel are doing this. I think Marvel's is going to be Zeb Wells, which is interesting. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then from DC, it's Grant Morrison, and I'm
Mm.
like, that's the guy. If you're a DC and you want to do like something like that, you get Grant Morrison, and I'll explain that in a minute. But yes, so the two books are going to be a Batman versus Deadpool book, Batman and Deadpool. I can't remember if it was versus and.
Mm.
But that's going to be the main book that they're going to be promoting. I think it's the only one so far. But okay, so what are your thoughts on that? The fact that it's going to be a Batman Deadpool.
Well, it's interesting. Um, Not necessarily the two characters you would normally. Well, I guess the only thing you would say is that Batman very much will sometimes come into contact with Deathstroke, and obviously Deadpool is a parody of Deathstroke in some way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that it opens up a bit of opportunity. Also, Deadpool's always just been a very fun character to write for, obviously for a fourth wall break. So I think that's sort of probably why they're going with Deadpool, just to have that bit of like fourth wall break shenanigans. Like, hey, you're from the DC universe, isn't this weird?
And that's kind of why I mentioned like the idea of Grant Morrison. So Grant Morrison's is like really like meta dude who often writes some of his books have this sort of meta thing going on. I think the best example is Animal Man, and so him having to deal with like someone whose fourth wall breaks like Deadpool could be interesting.
Yeah, it adds a very and also I guess it's a very straight man comedy man routine kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Batman is very straight laced.
Yeah.
Deadpool obviously known for his crazy shenanigans.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, it'll be interesting to see what Deadpool does with Joker.
Oh, he would make him go insane.
Yeah, because it just sort of I mean, which one, right?
Right.
um, but yeah, no, it definitely it's nice that I think it also works because it's you're starting off a bit smaller there, right? It's not like the full like previous like JLA Avengers sort of crossovers.
No.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
start off with just your single
But
characters and then
but I
see
will
where it
say
goes.
it having been Deadpool is very weird. It feels kind of awkward
How so?
because it's Deadpool. So Deadpool's always been kind of like more of a comedic character. Like, I'll say this to make it more sense. If I'm thinking of I'm doing a crossover between a character from DC and it was Batman, I would go with something that would fit in his wheelhouse, right? So I think a lot of people were saying like Batman, Daredevil,
Mm-hmm.
which would make a lot more sense.
I was maybe thinking about. Yeah, I guess I can see where you're coming from in that
Yeah,
aspect.
yeah,
Because I was probably thinking more of Batman and Iron Man, because they sort of inhabit that sort of realm of
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
heroes using tech and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
right?
They're both the like I always think about how like everyone just assumes that they're the same. That's because like it's very superficial to in reality. Like they're both rich, playboy billionaires. The stick that Robert Downey Jr. says at the beginning at
During in the Avengers movie, right?
yeah,
Yeah, no,
which is like that kind of downplays some of the aspect, but it's a common trope within the the comic book sphere.
yeah, but no, yeah, so I can definitely understand where you're coming from in terms of Deadpool being a weird choice. I mean, I obviously pointed out that like, okay, yeah, I mean, Deadpool is kind of a parody of Deathstroke, so I can see that angle.
Oh
I
no,
can
no, no, yeah.
see,
Like for me, it was more like okay, you're choosing your two most. I wouldn't say Deadpool's the most popular character on there, is there? I feel like he's waned a bit.
Deadpool, maybe a little, but I guess when you're looking at your audience a bit, like Deadpool still definitely holds a lot of popularity in terms of like probably maybe the younger crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
As well as just like the internet community in general. Because I mean, like, heck, how many times do you ever see like Deadpool cosplayers running around, right?
Obscene amount, and they're kind of weird and awkward.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, you're sort of just like, yeah, it's like I put my 2 cents into it, right? Of like you have your, like I said, like Batman, very serious character. You pair him up with a very goofy character with Deadpool. It bounces off like it's a classic comedy duo essentially.
I know, yeah, I see where you're coming from, and that makes total sense. Like
Mhm.
they're two characters who are vastly different. It's the buddy cop movie.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the
yeah.
buddy cop.
They're gonna have to learn to get along here,
Hmm.
right?
It just, I think more of so is like, how is Deadpool going to be written as a comedy?
Right.
That's the question,
Yeah.
really,
Mhm.
right? And so I'm not against this. In fact, I'm kind of like cautiously optimistic about it.
Mhm.
But what interests me is that they're both doing like Deadpool and Batman. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, because I feel like for a lot of those previous crossovers, it was only like ever one team writing it, right? Or was it?
For some of them, they were like in between, so they were both kind of like sharing the spotlight.
Right. Okay.
From my understanding, I think the closest example would probably be like how in Roger Rabbit they had Bugs and Mickey, but they both had the same number of lines,
Yeah. Yeah. I know
the
what you're talking
same
about.
number of screen time.
Yeah, because they didn't want to be like one have more than the other. I think similar thing happened with Daffy and Donald, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a reason why like when they're playing together, one gets knocked into the
The thing, and then the other one gets knocked the thing, right? Yeah.
yeah. Because to be honest with you, they both have an equal amount of share time.
Yeah. I mean, even though that movie was a Disney movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting thing, right, of doing that.
Mhm.
So you know, I am interested to see how it ends up being.
Mhm.
Like, I wonder if like the success will lead to like more.
I think it will.
I mean, either way, like it's kind of like even if it's not like well received, it's still
It's
like I
gonna
guess.
sell game busters.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
I can already see people like ordering the first issue and stuff. But they're both supposed to be like a mini series. I think. I haven't really looked into it as much, mostly because I kind of want to go into it blind.
right, right.
Um, but I will say the the art is gonna look good because I heard Dan Moore is doing for DC. I can't remember who's doing the art for Marvel's take, but the writers are two probably the most interesting aspects of it. So Zeb Wells is doing the Marvel side, right?
Mhm.
And he's not a terrible writer. He is not, but he's coming off of what is considered to be one of the worst Spider-Man runs in all time.
This is the one with the whole shenanigan with the Paul character,
Yes,
right?
this is
Yes.
exactly the one.
Okay.
So it's a lot of people were like, "Oh God, it's Zeb Wells," and I'm like, "Guys, he's written good stuff. It's just for whatever reason the Spider-Man arm is just really weird. Like right now, as we speak in the comics, Mary Jane is Venom.
Which is certainly a choice.
Especially considering because like in the past, um, there was a moment where she was like Venom sneaked into their house. She thought it was Peter, and when it turned out it wasn't, it kind of gave her like it traumatized her to the point where like, yeah, I'm not staying in that house.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
knows where we live. Like that house is no longer safe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely weird because it's like, because correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
In Spider-Man 2, the game, she gets hit with a symbiote,
Yeah.
right? And becomes her own little symbiote thing. So it's not like necessarily
Well,
a
she
unique
becomes
concept, but for her to get the Venom symbiote specifically,
well in the game she gets a symbiote and she becomes Screech, which is an entirely different character.
right? Yeah.
So it's not even like even Screech herself isn't Mary Jane.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like a different person. I don't remember. It's the Venom stuff has always been kind of weird for me.
Mhm.
Really, the most Venom stuff I've read was like whenever he's crossed over with Spider-Man or slash the Donny Cates run, which everyone agrees good. It is really good. I recommend it.
Right. But yeah, no. I guess my thing is that it's a weird choice.
It is a very weird choice.
Like, the concept of giving Mary Jane a symbiote. Okay, sure, you can work with
By
something
the way,
like
this
that.
is not Zeb Wells writing this.
Yeah, and I'm about to ask, like, he, so he jumps off ship, and then the next writer continues the
Oh,
storyline.
this is a Venom thing.
It's the whole Venom thing, right?
Yeah, this is a whole Venom thing with with a different writer kind of thing. But like this is like clear, but like everyone's kind of like reacting to it because this is a fallout from from the stuff he's written for Spider-Man. So that's kind of the thing. But no,
Right.
yeah, he's read. I read some of his stuff. It's not bad. It's actually it can work. It's just that I feel like whatever reason he wanted to do with Spider-Man was not the best thing ever.
It was I guess you could argue it was editorial sort of just
It part of it may be it. It's just this really weird thing about it. I know that like with the guy went before, Zeb Wells in like hinted of him doing the Mephisto marriage bullshit,
yeah.
and it ended up not going through. But more or less they retconned the whole Mysterio, the not Mysterio. I'm jumping ahead. The whole Norman and Gwen stuff.
Yes, with the jackal and whatnot. That storyline or
No,
no?
no, it's the one where she.
No, yeah, I know what you're talking
Yep,
about. I know
that's
what
the
you're talking
one.
about. Yeah,
That's the
I
one.
remember now. I
Turns
remember now.
out it was Mysterio messing with his head, with Norman's head.
Sure. I mean, if you want to know what we're talking about, I mean,
This is straight Spider-Man shit.
yeah, it's you can definitely look it up. It's definitely one of the more
It's controversial, I would say.
yeah, controversial, maybe a little distasteful.
And it has some aspect. I mean, looking back, that I'm forgetting the name of the writers on that one. Nick Spencer, that's what it was. I'm like looking back. Nick Spencer's run was actually not that bad.
mm,
I actually kind of liked a lot of it. Like one of my favorite moments from that was like when MJ was had basically an AA meeting because she's like, how do I deal with the fact that my loved one is a superhero? And it's like, yeah, no, I even though I know and even though I think he's gonna be okay, I still doesn't mean I still can't worry about him.
right,
Which I'm like, that's good, that's good. I like that.
right.
That's one of my favorite moments. But no, so definitely, um, Zeb Wells is someone because that's a bit of a tangent. Zeb Wells is I feel I'm not gonna hate it as soon as I see it. I'm going to wait and receive it until I read it in my own hands, see how it is.
Right, form your own opinion when it comes
Yeah.
out, and then
Yeah.
once you get the whole picture, it's like, all
Yeah.
right, this was good, this was bad, this was whatever.
Yeah,
Right?
because like the thing about his run with Spider-Man, it was that it just there's a lot of questions and the answers were not satisfactory. Like, what happened? Why did MJ and Peter break up again for the 50th time in a row? Because we're creatively bankrupt with Spider-Man, and like, who is this Paul guy? The answer is very disappointing in my opinion. But like, hopefully, like that he's no, however you feel about him, he's not a bad person. However you feel about the Spider-Man run, it's just don't harm the person. That's what I always said. And for DC getting Grant Morrison, that makes the most total sense in my opinion. That dude like I said loves the meta, so having like Deadpool be in there, I can totally see him doing some weird outlandish thing.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Grant Morrison did All Star Superman.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
to give you an idea, in the All Star Superman comic, there was a point where Superman created a pocket universe, and in that pocket universe had Jerry Siegel and Joel Schuster creating Superman.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should tell you like how meta that's about to be, and like he's like the most like he is such a fan of comics that he will be out there and that kind of thing. Yeah. So him writing Deadpool, that sounds like a fun idea. Like I don't know if he'll make him funny, but I think he'll really go delve into like the meta aspect that Deadpool can do with his fourth wall break.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. So definitely looking forward to that. Very much hoping that we get more stuff from this. Like every time I hear about like the JLA Avengers, I've read the JLA Avengers book. That one's fun. That one's good. like I one of my favorite parts of that book was was from like because Justice League goes to the Marvel universe, Avengers go to the
Yeah.
DC universe,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they both react to things differently. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, because I think they both have very. They notice just how their superheroes are treated in different universes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like because they see the JLA with like their statues and stuff like this is weird. Like we don't get statues
Yeah.
because that'd be really weird if we got statues.
Yeah.
And then like then like the JLA is like on Earth being like what everything it's that meme of Community where Childish Gambino walks in.
Oh, Donald Glover's
Yeah,
character walks in. That classic GIF of just like he walks in, everything's on fire, right?
yeah,
Yeah. It's like okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. No, that's basically how the JLA react to when they arrive because they're all like because they see the destruction of Genosha.
Oh wow, yeah.
They're like, what is this?
How could you have this happen?
How, what is this horrible like monstrous thing that happens just because they're different? And then
Yeah.
just like Superman's like lost it. Is like what the hell? And then like Batman sees the Punisher and he's like,
I don't like you.
on site, brother, on site.
That actually brings up another thing. So obviously, we're both sort of agreeing that this will probably make a lot of money and might promote more stuff. What other crossovers do you think they might do if
I
this
mean, if
actually
we're being
takes off the
honest,
ground?
the Deadpool Batman thing is just so out there. I kind of want to see something different, right? So in the
Hmm.
past we had like Spider-Man, Superman,
Yeah, like
because
that.
they're the poster
Yeah,
poster ones.
most popular Marvel superhero, Spider-Man, obviously. Most popular superhero from DC. I mean, you could say Superman back then, but I think Batman takes the cake now.
Yeah,
But yeah, same thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah. I would want to see a more like out there story. I think I heard stories of Brian Michael Bendis, who I think is on DC right now, having written up a pitch for a Batman Daredevil one,
Hmm.
and I could totally see that happening. I think there's been Batman Daredevil ones, but honestly, I would kind of want to see something from like the new team. So like, uh, let's say Blue Beetle and Jaime Reyes Ghost Rider,
Right. Now
like
that would be cool. That
like
would be
something from like
interesting.
the newer catalog of characters.
Yeah, because I was gonna say you think Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, with I don't know, maybe somebody from the Teen Titans or just the Teen Titans in general.
Oh, that'd be so.
That could be
Champions and
interesting.
Teen Titans. There you go.
That could be an interesting crossover, right? Um, I think because I think it'd be interesting to see the Sentry and Superman together.
And you're saying that because you're going off the high from the Thunderbolts movie, right?
I that and also because before then, like Sentry wasn't around during those
Mm-hmm.
initial crossovers. I mean, granted, Marvel definitely has a catalog of Superman likes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, but I think Sentry out of all of them is the one that hits, you know,
It's the one that
well,
really caught a lot of people's attention,
yeah,
especially now because of the movie.
yeah, especially now. But I think that would be an interesting.
I'm not
Uh,
against it. I think the problem is with Sentry is that like he's not around as often, and like how do you how I mean I think it would be interesting because like you're essentially having Superman going up against whether it be fighting or interacting with you know a I don't want to say a parody, but like a commentary on something like him, right?
yeah,
Because that's kind of the thing with the Sentry. He's one of those like Superman esque characters, but they're kind of not the I don't want to use the word cookie cutter, but like Superman is like idealized all this. And there's a reason why people say that why Sentry is very much a Marvel version of Superman with all the because Marvel characters can have a lot of these issues, a lot of these personal things going on. That makes sense for him for their Superman to be like that. But also because he is very Superman esque,
hmm
he kind of is very weird in their universe.
yeah,
And I love Sentry. Sentry is one of my favorite characters.
hmm
So I think that's a very good, cool idea. I just don't know what would be the best way to go about it.
Right, right.
Maybe a talented writer. Maybe Grant Morrison could do it. That dude loves writing Superman. I think that would be really cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying like he's gonna like all of a sudden Clark's gonna start taking crack or
No, but I think it's more of a. I think it'd be more of an interesting thing of just like Century see Superman. Like,
as what he could be.
yeah, I'm thinking of like a Doctor Manhattan thing of like from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Watchmen DC crossover,
yeah,
right?
yeah. How he was influenced, and a lot of people didn't like that. I did because like it's like a cool, like most of that story was kind of like okayish. It was a cool interaction. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
But like seeing them interact, Superman and Manhattan was probably one of the better parts. And to see that, I could totally see like it being like a cool idea.
Mm.
So I kind of see where you're going with. I don't know how. Like I said, I could if they do that. I want Grant Morrison to write it. He would do great things with that.
Right. I mean, do you have any other ideas or?
I mean, that's the thing. You got to really go deep down into like the purposes of the DC and Marvel characters. Like I'm very much on the idea of like having like a lot more of the newer characters have a spotlight,
Mm.
and I think those would be a lot more interesting. I like maybe the Fantastic Four meeting the Terrifics because they're both. But then at that point they're both like Fantastic Four esque characters, meaning the Fantastic Four,
Right.
right?
I was gonna maybe say, would it be interesting for Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, but I'm not really sure. Besides, that they're both strong female superheroes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I don't know, because it's like it seems a good idea from the onset, but then when you start to think a little bit deeper, it's like how much do these characters actually share in common, and like
Mm-hmm.
you know how would they see each other, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think we touched on some interesting stuff. I mean, obviously we're kind of avoiding some big ones, like putting Spider-Man in anything like that. But that's because, like you said, like we already seen like that sort of stuff with those characters. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know, Deadpool, Batman. That's super interesting. So I think that's sort of where they.
It's out there. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but there's like you were saying, there might be a reason for it.
Yeah. So in my brain, I'm just like maybe that's sort of the direction they want to go. It's like there's stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think they would mesh well, but then you give it a second look. It's like okay, you know what? Maybe that could work well. Cause
Mm-hmm.
listen, I'm gonna be honest. It'll be interesting if like Deadpool actually does meet Deathstroke, and it did have like that Spider-Man pointing memes thing, or hell, just Deadpool just starts making fun of Deathstroke in some weird way.
It's like I'm better than you. I'm more popular. I have 3 movies. You weren't even in one
You were in a post-credit scene for a movie nobody even likes anymore.
until the director's cut.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be in a big movie, but not anymore. I got 3 movies.
Ben Affleck dumped your ass.
Exactly. I could totally see that happening. Dude, like there's this possibility that you have like a literal gold mine of characters to go with. You just kind of have to be smart about who you pick and choose.
Right.
Like I want to see more out there interactions, right? Something that would be more interesting. I don't know how they'll pull it off. Like I'll be honest, like I said, Deadpool Wolverine, Deadpool Batman, that's really out there. I don't know how to feel about it, but it could work. Especially like I said, I'm more interested in the Grant Morrison one. I think that one's gonna be a little more intriguing. I don't know if it's gonna play out the way I would want it to go, but hey, I'm not the writer. But anyways, I think that's a good place to end it because there's not really much for us to talk about.
Yeah, until they come out, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's speculation. It's more of just like talking about, hey, these two are collaborating again. I mean,
We knew it was gonna happen. We don't know for how long though.
yeah, and this isn't like them like making a Marvel DC movie, which I mean,
Oh
that's
God,
never,
no,
that's
no,
not gonna happen.
no, that's never gonna
That's
happen.
never gonna happen.
No,
Even if you got
the
James Gunn there, he's friends with Feige, right? Like that's not.
funny enough, Chip Zdarsky tweeted out like or posted on something on Instagram about like an image of like something like some lines he wrote,
Mm-hmm.
about for the DC and Marvel crossover, and it's not characters, it's just two names, one named Kevin and one named James,
Mm.
and they're both like, "I miss you, Kevin. I miss you too, James." Oh, he must be really happy to see me.
That's funny.
Yeah, which I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good crossover right there.
Yeah.
I pay me. No, but like, thank God it's not doing a movie shit because I think that would be the worst thing ever.
Is that just because you're like, oh dear God, that's too much cooks in the kitchen kind of thing?
Basically, and like a lot of weirdos are gonna weirdo, but weirdos I mean like people. Well, weird people, yes, but also like people who aren't used to the thing and people who like already don't like these kind of movies are gonna be like, oh, so they're crossing over now, you know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like it's gonna have a reaction, and I'm like, I don't want to hear any of it.
Right.
So that's kind of like my thing about it. But yeah. So I think that's about it as much as we can say.
Yeah. I think that's how we wrap this up, right?
Yeah, sure. Um, for if you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to follow us on all social medias: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're most active on Instagram, and we'll have a link tree to all the podcasts we're officially part of, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, all the good stuff. And we also have a link to the YouTubes where you can put a face to the voice. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, we are, like I said earlier in this episode, we are officially at Palooza. It's going to be, was it June 19th to 21st?
I think so.
Sometime
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah.
By the time of this, well, sometime in the month, by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah. By the time, yeah. Sometime
Yeah.
in June, yes.
Yeah. So be on the lookout, and if you're going to be there, hit us up. We're going to be on Saturday at 12 at the Pavilion.
Okay, cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
right?
Main floor. There you go. Anyways, you guys have a good one. It's been me, boy.
Me, Joe.
You guys have a good one. Peace.